For many of us, we suffer in silence, and I will say that for myself, and I will continue to deal with it until I just could not anymore. Between the aches and the pain, and honestly, my iron level that was extremely low to the point of having 2 emergency visits.
A lot of women are suffering in silence with very heavy periods. They have fibroids, and I think the most common thing that I see is that they accept that as the norm.
I had no idea. I just knew that I had been bleeding and bleeding profusely, and it was probably one of the heaviest cycles I had had in such a long time. Honestly, felt like I couldn't talk to anyone else about it. Who understands this? Who would know what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis? And I was actually able to go and actually have some fun with the family, but not having that constant worry or planning a trip around when I think my cycle may be here.
Before you hear this episode of the Menopod, if you feel that it's time to make a change and you want to join the Urogenius family, reach out to us at HoustonUrogynecology.com or 832-831-0362. You can also check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Our handle is The Pelvic MD. Enjoy. Welcome to the Menopod. This is the show for you. This is for specifically women who refuse to pause in the menopause. And so I'm welcoming one of my amazing patients, Miss Adonis Taylor. Yay! Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, Adonis has a story that I think that you all needed to hear. It's, again, one of the first symptoms of perimenopause is bleeding, and that's textbook. And that's usually the first symptom that most women note, and that your periods start to change. They become like accordions. They go long, they come short, they're heavy, they're light, they're all over the place, and they drive you crazy. And then all the others, the other symptoms are happening, yes. But Adonna has had a very interesting story. And how it evolved into much, much more than that. So I want to let her take it away. I want to hear her voice. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And surprised that I'm here, but honestly, not really. This has been years in the making, and I was probably one that was in denial, especially as a healthcare provider. Mm-hmm. I really thought I'll be fine. This will go away. The bleeding will actually, it will ease over time. Couple of years in, and it did not, and the bleeding changed, and it got to the point where it actually changed my way of life. Mm-hmm. I am married. I have 3 boys and pretty active young men in our lives, and there were things that I honestly could not do simply because the bleeding was so heavy at times that it was life altering. Mm-hmm. And it honestly got to the point enough was enough. Mm-hmm. And even then I was the next month though, once it stopped, I'll be okay. I'll go back to what I thought was a norm. Mm-hmm. But month over month, the bleeding became heavier and heavier. And I would say the last 6 months, between the end of 2023 to the beginning of 2024, it just became unbearable. Mm-hmm. To the point where at work or at home, if I would sit somewhere, literally I'd have to look behind me and see if indeed, hey, did I leave?
Right. So watching your anxiety go up.
Yes, watching my anxiety go up all the time. We go out to dinner, and I honestly wouldn't stay very long. We go on trips, and it was, hey, I can't wear a dress. I haven't worn a dress or had not worn a dress at that point for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm. How about wearing white?
Never wore white. Mm-hmm. Did not wear white. Honestly, didn't wear many bright colors simply because I was so nervous about the fact of, hey, I don't want to embarrass myself or embarrass my family if we go out. But for many of us, we suffer in silence, and I will say that for myself. I was I can deal with this. Mm-hmm. I can deal with it, and I will continue to deal with it until I just could not anymore. Between the aches and the pain, and honestly, my iron level that was extremely low to the point of having 2 emergency room visits. It just became where I had to actually seek out different types of treatment and say I have to take care of myself.
How did you feel? How did you feel? What was your mood like?
I was tired all of the time. All the time. I was taking B12 shots and iron supplements and other things, just trying to increase that energy level. And it still didn't raise up to a regular par. Like I can actually function. I'd function a couple hours a day. But there was some days I was so tired. It was like, okay, I'd worked 8-10 hours and I'd really want to go inside and just kind of lay across the floor. Just let me take a very long nap. But as far as energy level to do things with the kids or, soccer practice or football or tennis or other things like that, after a couple of hours, I was like, okay, I'm done. Because after a while, it became evident with some test results that I had fibroids. And so the pain was excruciating at times. And so I would go different places, and then honestly, I'd stay for a little bit and I need to go back home.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, unbelievable, firstly, that you functioned this long. Adonis is like a super powerhouse professional woman who in healthcare, who is, taking over the planet, and how you function this long is a testament to just your strength and your endurance. But a lot of women are doing it, right? A lot of women are suffering in silence with very heavy periods. They have fibroids. And I think the most common thing that I see is that they accept that as the norm, right? The question that I asked to try and really differentiate is how many pads are you using on your heaviest days, and how much do you fear soiling yourself? And it's amazing the number of women who are, I'm using 6 pads a day. I'm using 6 pads, 4 tampons. I change. I'm having anxiety. I'm soiling myself. And, oh yeah, that's my norm. How long have you been doing this? 10 years, I mean, it's crazy that women will suffer like that. And the irony is that, when your iron is low, the one thing that needs to be mentioned is that when your iron is low, your thyroid doesn't work well. So your metabolism goes down. So it's funny. People are like, oh, well, I don't feel like eating much and I'm tired all the time, but I can't move weight.
I cannot. Yes, right? Absolutely right. I could not lose the weight. Couldn't understand why I was not losing the weight. I really didn't eat very much. I still honestly don't have that. The appetite still hasn't come back 100%. But honestly, my iron was so low that literally it was little nibbles. My kids would go out and they'd have a meal and I would have the kids' meal. And I still wouldn't eat all of the kids' meal, but my thyroid was not functioning properly. Right. So it literally got to the point that I was on Synthroid, and the docs were trying different other things. I can tell you my dental bill was probably higher than the norm because I was honestly chewing on ice all the time and didn't realize why. But also it, in retrospect, actually thinking about it, you talked about the pads and talked about different things. For years, I didn't wear tampons. I actually just wore pads. And it got to the point I was buying, during the period of a cycle, I'd actually have like 2 big packs of pads and then try to hide them, so others won't see.
Right.
And it got to the point, it was like, well, let me try a different method. Let me try the tampons, thinking, well, this will change. It literally got to the point I was using a box of tampons and a pack of pads for each cycle. And the cycles became heavier and heavier with each passing month. And just when I thought, hey, the cycle is over, and then 2 weeks later, it's right back again. And I was not ready for that. And so it was always, I always had to be ready, constantly ready, and ensure like, hey, we need to stop. Let's stop at Walgreens, or let's stop at CVS, because I wasn't prepared. And I should have been prepared all the time, or so I thought. And I was like, oh, okay, once a month, I should be fine. Until the last 6 or 7 months. And it was literally
too much. It
stayed. So it was nothing to have a cycle for 14, 18, 21 days.
Right.
And heavy the whole time. And that was the norm.
Yep.
And I thought, hey, well, I'm sure others before me have done this. I need to do it as well. But the way that our life is and the way that we want to function, and again, it just got to the point where I want to live life better. I want to actually be able to enjoy life and do some things. And if my kids are going out, I want to go on vacation with them.
Absolutely.
I want to actually go to a party and actually party and dance and have a great time. It honestly, for a while, it was like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. I'll stay home. You all can go.
Yeah.
And so.
And then your iron was so super low, it was like, we could replace it fast enough. I mean, it was just like there's a faucet and it's leaking and we can't get this back fast enough. And again, a lot of women will come in not recognizing, thinking it's hormones. And they'll come and say to me, listen, I'm perimenopausal. It's my hormones. I'm emotional. I'm all over the place. And then you have to pick and, try and find out what is this period doing. Fortunately, we found out that your periods were secondary to your fibroids. So tell me do you remember how you got to me? Do you remember?
I had an episode at work.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I have some people who cared about me enough that
Your staff loves you, can I tell you? And that's a testament to what a great boss you are. Because they called me.
Yeah, they called. And I was utterly surprised. I was humbled, but I was surprised. But one of the staff members actually came into the restroom, and I'd been in there a little longer than what I originally anticipated, and crying, unbeknownst to them, but came in to offer assistance, like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, I'll be okay. You know, of course, I have to put on the front for the staff members, but wound up actually just divulging to one of them what was happening. And literally it was a rippling effect. And before I knew it, it was like, hey, you have to call this person. You need to make sure you get in contact at this time. By that point, though, I'd been suffering for like 7 days straight. And when you called, and when I called you and went to get some lab work and actually found out some different things, it was like, do you realize what your iron level is? And I had no idea. I just knew that I had been bleeding and bleeding profusely. And it was probably one of the heaviest cycles I had had in such a long time. And I honestly felt like I couldn't talk to anyone else about it. Like, who understands this? Who would know what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis? And who can actually help me? Like, is this something that I'm going to have to deal with until, you know, menopause happens? And I'm like, oh, I could deal with this another 3 years. So I thought. And then it got to the point where it's like, no, I can't. Like, I would not be able to function if this is how this is going to continue for another 3 years until hopefully I hit menopause.
You hopefully you're not, and that's the thing.
I hope I hit menopause.
That's the number one question I get asked. Like, when is it? You know, I can deal with this, whatever situation is. I can deal with it for a year or 2 years. It's supposed to be 51. I'm almost there. And if I had a magic wand, I would wish I could tell you. If I knew the answer to that question, I will be on my boat in Tahiti with all of you with me. But it's the magic question, because then you don't know, you don't have an end point.
Right.
And how long are you going to stay in this state?
Right.
Your staff, can I not say this enough, love you. And imagine what it was like for you to call your doc on behalf of your boss.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the craziest phone calls I think I've ever gotten. Where like, my boss, who is the biggest wig ever, right? Who I adore, is in trouble, and I need you to help. And I was like, well, it's, you know, it's issues, it's HIPAA, I need to talk, you know, I need to navigate it. Yeah. But I was so touched, one, that she had enough faith in me, and I was so touched that she loved you enough to, like, I need to get you in with someone who's going to take care of you. So I was super honored by that phone call. So you come in and you see me, and we have this very difficult conversation.
I was still in denial by that point. Absolutely in denial, and came in.
How big were your fibroids?
Oh my gosh, my fibroids were as big as grapefruit, and some were as small as I would say like a plum. And I had numerous fibroids. I didn't just have one or two. My first pregnancy, and I have 3 sons, one of which is a little over 20. But during that first pregnancy, I found out I had 2 fibroids. And that doctor at the time actually took out the fibroids in the midst of that C-section. And so I was like, oh, I'm good. And then 6 years later, I had another son and found out, oh, well, you have 2 more fibroids. By the time I had the 3rd son, it was like, oh, you have 4 fibroids. Little did I know how many fibroids were there. Until about a year and a half ago, went to have a well-woman checkup, and literally she said, you have way more than 4 fibroids. She would not say how many. And I actually have never seen that picture. She just said, just rest assured, you will need to have your uterus removed. And I was like, I'll be fine. She was like, Adonis, like, you have quite a bit of fibroids. And what I do, I see this, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. I didn't know the toll that it would take on me. I didn't know all the residual things that would happen because of the fibroids. I should have known. And I think just for myself, I was like, oh, that's for them. That's not for me. And if I do have more fibroids than what she says, so I'm thinking maybe 10, I'll be fine. I've dealt with 4 all this time. I'll be fine. Until the bleeding just became heavier than anyone ever anticipated. And now 2 iron infusions, 2 blood transfusions, not just iron infusions. initially it was, hey, you'd have some iron infusions. You'll be okay. You do this over 3 months. I felt great. Thought I was great. The first one lasted a couple of months. The second one, not so long. But actually it was 2021 when I had the first blood transfusion. I just blamed it on my job.
Right.
It's like, hey, I work so much.
Stressful.
Hey, stress. This is what happens. But the second one was not that case. I knew that this was different. And I couldn't deny it any longer. I was like, okay, well, we'll see. And maybe she'll do something. And then, you know, this will hold me over. I mean, I looked at all kind of other things. Hey, let's just see if indeed I can have another type of treatment. But honestly, I knew it was too far gone by that point. I was like, well, what else can I do? I cannot take some medication to help this go away.
Right.
And no matter how much iron I was taking or anything else, at that point, it was not helping. Because anything I was taking in was going out by the time the cycle started. And the cycle lasted for days on end or weeks on end. Bed sheets, you know, pajamas, clothes, different other things, and throwing stuff away or, you know, hiding or what have you. And it's like, this is not a way to live.
No.
At this point.
No.
So
what do you think kind of nudged you? Because there are other options. I mean, there are other treatments, but what do you think nudged you?
The staff, I will say that. And not just this staff in my current place of employment, my previous place of employment saw me go through some things as well. And a number of their words just rang through. Literally, I'd come in and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you look ghastly! Like, like what's wrong with you?
How
like
was your morning?
Yeah. Like, wow. Well, thanks for the compliment." But also my kids and my husband as well. I was like, I want to be around to do things for them, with them. How embarrassing it is to actually come to work and have so many things planned, and literally you're in the bathroom over half the day, or hey, I need some different type of clothes, or you're bringing 2 and 3 outfits to work to actually change. And it just came to a point where I was like, hey, I have to do something different because I want to be around for them.
Absolutely.
And I want to be able to enjoy some things. I've missed out on some things with my older son, simply because it was like, hey, I can't go there.
Right.
I can't sit for that long. And that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair to anybody involved, including myself. But the bleeding, the heaviness of the bleeding and the excruciating pain.
Yeah. Can't deny that pain.
Yes.
That was real.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, your husband was amazing. He was there. He was there all through this. He was all up in finding out. And I was like, all right. I mean, we were rock and rolling. Great, great guy. What has changed? What is Adonis today status post hysterectomy? I mean, we walked through this. I mean, the first few weeks, first couple of weeks aren't fun. You know,
first few weeks are not fun.
It was a very, I would tell you, one of the most challenging cases I've done. You were there was some mega fibroids. Like you grew them, right?
Yes.
But very rewarding to get it done, right?
Yes.
And you're intact at the end of it. What are you like now as opposed to before?
Oh gosh.
How's your life
Literally,
changed?
I think one of the first things, and you actually said it, it's like, wow, I can buy a white dress. You know, literally, and maybe more of a reminder than not, but I still have like, hey, just some of the feminine products just to make sure, like, hey, just a reminder, like maybe you can minister or actually talk to some other people, like, hey, you don't have to suffer in silence like this. But for me, it's actually going out to dinner. It's going to concerts. It's actually taking a trip. You know, a couple weeks ago we went to Florida, and you know, I was actually able to go and actually have some fun with the family, but not having that constant worry or planning a trip around when I think my cycle may be here, or ensuring that, hey, you know, is this something you want to do or not want to do, or can we do this or not do that? Not only with my husband, but with my kids, and actually having a girls trip or girls evening or what have you, like, hey, don't sit next to Adonis, that type of thing. I didn't want that.
Right.
I wanted to ensure that we can actually have some fun. So for me, life has changed. My energy level is increased. Actually, my libido is increased. But having that time back has really meant a lot to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, as you're, you know, again, I've seen you through the beginning, through the surgery. And you look completely different.
Thank you.
You know, you connect. You're so much more vibrant. You're moving differently. I mean, we put on 10 more years on you.
Thank you.
And then it's able, you know, you're able to exercise and get out and do the things that I need to do, right? Because now we're just
now
talking
the energy
about
level.
taking about second chapter planning, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we want to be doing this until we're 80. But
Yes.
if we sink ourselves in such a big hole at this stage, it's really hard to get that trajectory to 85, 90, right? And so, you know, it's just that you're here and you've done this is huge. I think you're going to touch a lot of you because you need to hear this. Please get checked. Please get someone to listen to you. Yes, I can tell you when your period is going beyond 3 pads a day, we need to talk, right?
Yes.
Because the problem is that 3 pads a day might not seem a lot to you, but your body compensated really well in your 20s. When you're getting into your 40s and 50s and you're running around after kids, it's just not compensating like it used to, right?
Yes.
So even though it doesn't seem like a whole lot, and it's been like that for the last 25 years, your body is just different.
Yes.
And it's worth looking into and getting that as part of the workup for your hormones, right? The hormones may still be happening, but this is also happening, and we need to address it.
Yes. Listen to your body and ensure that you see your physician and actually talk to them about what your symptoms really look like. Mm-hmm. Have an honest conversation. For me, I was more reserved. That has definitely changed.
That's awesome.
I appreciate you.
She's a wild child. Can tell. So this is exciting. Yes. I'm so honored to have you here. I'm so honored to watch you on this new trajectory. I hope that we stay on the journey together. And thank you all for watching. And come back anytime.
Thank you so much. Will do. Thank you.